Hello and welcome to the second part of this tutorial. So now we will render this text cloud, this word cloud with the same texture but using a Meshinstancer. And for this we will build a big array of texture coordinates that the Meshinstancer will use to render a lot of words. So as you can see, we can just change the number of words and make it really big, and it's still quite fast. Okay, so I will use the patch from our last tutorial, from the first part, and will copy it and will make the changes in here. So I will just delete the whole random cluster thing down here, so like this. And I will create a rectangle again and set the size of the rectangle as we did before. And then I will disable the rendering of the rectangle and create a Meshinstancer, because the Meshinstancer will render this rectangle. Then let's create a random number array just for having random positions for our array. And when we scale this down, we see we have a lot of rectangles already on the screen. For convenience, I will create a number or integer operator just to have easier control about the number of rectangles that we want to render. So we need a basic material again, like before. Let's just make it white and let's connect the texture to the texture opacity. Okay, what we see here is now the whole texture is mapped onto each rectangle right now. This is not what we want. We want only one word per rectangle, as you know. So this time, if we change the, we don't have a loop. So back in the random cluster, we could change the basic material in every step of this loop, but we cannot do this with the Meshinstancer, because this is just one draw call, draw all those meshes at all those positions. And this has a input that's called text code. So you can say and use those texture coordinates within this draw call. So this means those texture coordinates that we have here, the texture transform, the repeat x, repeat y, the offset x, and the offset y, this has to be in one array. So we will just create this array now. So right now we have 100 rectangles on the screen, and the coordinate array is exactly 300 numbers, because for each rectangle we have 3 numbers. But for the texture coordinates we need 4 numbers for each rectangle. So I will start with the array pack 4. Array pack 4 simple in this case, because we just will create it once, so we can use the simple one. So if you created if you update it a lot, just use the normal array pack 4, and then you have more control when the array is updated. But we will just use this because the texture coordinates will not change. And we still can randomize them with the crop array and not with the in the array. Okay, so those are our 4 texture coordinates. So this is x and y, and this is the width and the height of each rectangle, the mapping of each rectangle. So let's create some arrays. Let's just use the array op and set a default value to 0. So I will copy it here. This is number of rects. So we will create an array. Let's just visualize this. We will create an array of 100 zeros. Really simple. So this is the x coordinate where each rectangle should start. So this is always on the far left side. This is the 0 on the x-axis. So then we will create an array with full of ones. So this is our array 3 here. So this is always the width. So each texture, each rectangle should use the whole texture in the width. So this is width 1. So those are the x coordinates, and now we have to fill in the y coordinates. So so let's just start with the simple one. So this is the height of every rectangle. So we want to use the whole height is 1, and this is divided by the number of words. So we have this old divide operator here. We height. I should use those comments more often. Let's just comment it with height of 1 word. So I will use this and connect this to the default value and connect the array length to the number of rects. So we see it's already kind of looking good. Let's just have a look into this array. So Cables knows that this array has a stride of 4. This means there's always 4 values in the array, and then it will start again with 4 arrays. So it will this array table will show you just 4 numbers in each row, which is super handy. And here we see the first x is always 0, and the second x is always 1, and the height is always 0.1, and this one, the second input, we have not filled yet. So we have to fill this, and this is a bit more, not really complicated, but we have to construct this. So we will start with a random, so we want a random y coordinate for each rectangle, because we want a different word each rectangle, right? So let's just use the random numbers array again, but this time we will switch to integers. Then I will connect the number of values to the number of rectangles, and we will have a look at this array. So so this is how it looks now, right? So we want basically those coordinates, so they should start at 0, or we want, first of all, we want the index of a word, so it should start at 0 and go to 10, because that's the number of words that we have. So I will set the minimum number to 0, and the maximum number I will connect to the crop array. This is the number of words that we have. So let's connect it to max A, and then we see the array looks like this. So the first random word is the second one, the sixth one, the third one, the eighth one, and so on. So this is the word that will be chosen here. So this is great, right? So we know which word we want to show for each rectangle, but we don't want the index of the word. We don't need the index of the word for the texture coordinate, but we need the coordinate. So again, we have this value. Let's move this over here. The height of 1 word, right? So to do this, I will use an array multiply. Array multiply. And multiply this with the height of each word. And then use this array table again. Let's just put them next to each other. So now you see what was 2 becomes 0.2. So with 10 words, it's super easy to debug your values. Are they correct? So don't start with, I don't know, 333 words, because then it's way harder to make this connection, right? So simple numbers for testing is way easier. Okay, so this looks fine. So the fifth word has the texture, the y coordinate 0.5, so it's half the texture. The fifth word starts. So this array we can also connect to the array pack for simple. So that's it basically. So let's delete those and just look at what we created. So we have those rectangles. They have the correct aspect ratio, and they contain only one word, and they are quite random. So you can now we can now create 1,000 words like this. Lower the opacity, for example, like this. Okay, it's way too many words. Let's make them smaller. Then you have a really small cloud of words. And yeah, this is still super fast because it's just one draw call, and it looks like it's a lot of stuff. So let's also, I don't know, create more words. Let's just use 50 words. And I don't know, 500 rectangles. Okay, so this is a problem. So this tells me texture is too big. So you see there's some error. Some words have some errors there because the texture got too big. So you have to have like an eye on the texture size. So you can click show info, and then you see the texture is 16K in height. So this is the maximum of what my graphics card or what WebGL can display. So you have to be careful with this. So the text texture up, you can say, okay, let's make the font size just 40 or 30 because the text is so small. I can just lower it, and now you see the texture change. So the height is now less than 2000 pixels. So yeah, you have to find like a good a threshold or like a middle ground to resize your texture to this. So yeah, so that's it. So right now we have 50 random words on 500 rectangles, and yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think of it if you have any other questions, and I will make another tutorial about it. Thank you very much. Bye.